Are thoughts of the upcoming holiday season giving you feelings of excitement or anxiety? As we embark on this time of year, I have some tips that will help you enjoy it to the fullest, while also being mindful and avoiding overconsumption. The calendar has turned to the month of November, which means that for the next 2 months, our focus will be on the holidays of Thanksgiving and Christmas, and to a lesser degree, New Year's Eve. This time of year, spending, consuming, and the quest for more really seems to get out of control. It's almost like society feels like it has a free pass to be irresponsible in the name of good cheer and generosity. And it's really easy to fall into that trap. Stores are decked with all sorts of beautiful things, commercials are promoting the gifts that your loved ones most want to have, and everyone just looks so happy. But is it all as it seems? I can tell you from my own personal experiences that it can also come with a whole lot of stress. Maybe you've had something similar happen to you during this most magical time of the year. So right now, while we're still at the very beginning of this season, I have a challenge for all of us, myself included, and that is to be more intentional for the next 60 days. Ultimately, the goal here is that come January 1st, we won't be all frazzled and feeling like we have to clean up a lot of bad decisions. We can enter the new year in a positive way. So the first thing I suggest you do is to make a conscious effort to shut out the noise. Turn off the TV, put down your phone, and as much as possible, avoid going into the stores. The barrage of marketing is through the roof right now, and the more you interact with it, the more you are likely to fall victim. That sounds dramatic, I know, but it is the truth. These people have been trained to get you to purchase what they're selling, and this time of year means big bucks for them. Be very, very careful. During this time of year, more than others, it's very important to only walk into a store when you have a clear plan in mind. It might also be wise to carry a list. Have you ever noticed that comparing is also at an all-time high in the months of November and December? Everyone is posting on social media about the merry things that they're doing, and kids are asking each other what they're putting on their Christmas wish lists. It's easy to feel less than if we fall into the trap of jealousy. Remind yourself, as often as those thoughts of envy start to sneak in, that your priorities and goals might be different than theirs, and that you plan to focus on what is best for you and your family. Consider your abundance. This is something that I would recommend starting right now in the month of November. This is a month of giving thanks. And it's easy to say those words without really thinking about what we are thankful for. Family, health, a safe place to live. One little practice that you could implement is a thankfulness jar. Each time you think of something that you're thankful for, write it down on a slip of paper and put it in a jar that you can later go back and reflect on. You may choose to share these thoughts with everyone around the Thanksgiving table or keep them private for yourself. Either way, I have a hunch that this will definitely stir up the recognition that for many of us, we have been blessed with much more than we need, enough to share with others. And that makes this season a great time to do some decluttering. I recommend doing this decluttering early on so that those items can be available for others to pick up as potential Christmas gifts. That Lego set your kids no longer play with may be the most amazing gift for another child in the community. So whether you are donating the items that you declutter to a local thrift store or you are offering them up for free on Facebook Marketplace, just the simple act of considering your abundance, recognizing it, and realizing that you can use that abundance to bless others is a wonderful feeling. Determine your level of commitment. Here's the thing. There are so many events, programs, and activities that are available right now. And if you aren't careful, you might tie up more of your time than you want. Do you really need to participate in the white elephant gift exchange at work? How much time can you allocate to sending holiday cards? Would you be able to forgo the gingerbread house decorating contest or caroling with the church choir? Which are your priorities, the ones that you actually enjoy doing and look forward to, and which are the things that you've gone along with in the past just to be a good sport? Only you will be able to recognize how much you're able to handle. Some people will be able to take in every last bit of activity and enjoy it all, while others, like myself, might have to choose just a few. And if you're like me, the simple word no is going to have to be part of your vocabulary if you want to stay sane and avoid the overwhelm. It's funny how such a small word can be so difficult to say sometimes, but it really is necessary. Now, don't hear me say that you should go full Uncle Scrooge and boycott all the festive activities. Just set some boundaries so that you won't be caught off guard by everything that gets thrown at you as a fun opportunity. Opportunities can quickly become obligations, and too many obligations can cause overwhelm. And while you're setting some time boundaries, you might as well set some emotional boundaries as well. Sadly, this season can bring out the best in people, but also the worst. With an election happening right at the beginning of November, there are bound to be some heated conversations around the holiday tables this year. Is voicing your political opinion worth scarring a relationship with a loved one? You'll have to make that decision for yourself. Personally, though, I'm opting for peace. Remember that you do have the ability to remove yourself from conversations that make you uncomfortable. You can also attempt to change the topic of discussion. Debate around a dinner table is really not going to sway anyone's thoughts or positions, so to me, it would be a waste of breath. Sleep can also be an important way to balance your emotions this time of year. It's no surprise that the stress of the season causes insomnia in many, which can lead to daytime headaches, loss of concentration, and emotions that are all over the place. Make an effort to get to bed at a reasonable time and on a routine schedule. Calming activities such as reading or listening to music in the evening hours can help. When your body knows what to expect, your brain will relax as well. I'd say that most people opt to do some decorating for Christmas in the month of November. Some of you have already started, and others like myself will wait until after Thanksgiving. Either way, decorations is another major thing to consider this time of year. As it relates to the season of excess, this too can get way out of control if we let it. The process of dragging out all of the boxes and bins of decorations, sifting through it all, and plastering every square inch with cheer is perhaps not a burden for some people. They may actually find it fun. For others, it can be a totally draining experience. And if that's the case for you, I suggest that you try to oversimplify and really challenge the idea of how much is really needed to decorate a space for it to start to feel festive. I've noticed that even with minimal decorations, the entire mood of our living space changes. I've done a series of videos that showcase how I've decorated our cottage in the past few years and explain the rotating gallery style approach that I like to use. If you're looking for inspiration, I would encourage you to give them a watch. I'll have them linked in the description box below. The next tip I have for you is to decide what and how many gifts you plan to give. Traditions can run very strong, especially so this time of year. But you need to know that just because you used to give gifts for every single family member, your nieces, your nephews, siblings, and their spouses, aunts, uncles, maybe even your coworkers, it doesn't mean that you always have to. I would encourage you to evaluate the scope of gift giving that you plan to embark on this year. Perhaps when you go through all of that work and think it all through, you'll decide to continue giving all of those gifts. But you also might decide to make a major shift and forego gifts altogether. That is actually what my husband and I decided to do 4 years ago. We embarked on our very first gift-free Christmas. There were many reasons, including monetary aspects, as well as the realization that, as a family, too much of our effort had been centered on gifts instead of what we celebrate as the true meaning of the season, the birth of Jesus. So at that time, we felt that the best thing to do was to strip all of that away and reinvent how we wanted to handle gifts. What we didn't expect was that we would enjoy our time without gifts as much as we did. So much so that we turned it into an every other year occurrence. Your gift giving evaluation may have you falling somewhere in the middle, where you still want to give gifts but limit the number that each person receives. A really popular model right now is the 4-gift rule, and it has a fun little rhyme to go with it. Something to wear, something to read, something you want, and something you need. But whatever you decide to do, make those decisions based off of what is best for you and not on what other people are doing. Once you've established the quantity of gifts, it will be much easier to set a budget. Plan this one ahead, really. Of course, gift giving can be wonderful. It's one of the 5 love languages after all, but not if you go into debt to give them. Too many people spend beyond their means for the holiday season, and it usually results from not paying attention to how much is being spent. That's what budgeting is all about, putting a limit on your money and saying, I will spend this much, but no more. And honestly, money doesn't even have to enter the equation when it comes to gift giving. Giving the gift of quality time or something handmade can be just as special, maybe even more so. With around 60 days until Christmas, there is plenty of time to either save up for the gifts that you will purchase or put together something homemade. Just remember that when it comes to gifts, it really is the thought that counts. Delegate and set realistic expectations. Don't feel like creating happy memories falls only on your shoulders. If you're hosting for the holidays, make sure everyone in the family has a job to do. Perhaps a couple of people are on the cleaning duty, another is preparing food, and someone else is planning activities or wrapping gifts. There are plenty of tasks to go around. My extended family coined a phrase a few years back, and that is, the gathering is the gift, and that really is true. There's no point in stressing out about all the details and trying to make everything perfect. That will just take away from the time that you have together with your loved ones. If you are in an especially difficult and busy season of life, maybe the group of people you're gathering with will enjoy takeout food from a restaurant instead of a home-cooked meal with all the fixings. And that's okay. Perhaps you need to ask your guests to book hotel rooms instead of staying at your house. That's okay too. Take everything in stride and enjoy the moments as much as you can. And finally, leave time for yourself. Even with implementing all of the other tips I talked about today, the next 60 or so days will absolutely fly by. To be present and to get the most out of the season and slow things down, a person really has to be intentional. I like to recommend cozy solo activities to focus the mind, something that you enjoy doing, but you maybe have been putting off, citing lack of time. That might be knitting, putting together a puzzle, baking cookies, or even something as simple as reading. Schedule 30 minutes of your day if you have to, just to prove to yourself that you do really have the time to do these things, if they are prioritized. One little trick that I like to use to ensure that I really have slowed down enough to enjoy the moment is to think about my 5 senses. If I'm in a moment and I can't think of all 5 of my senses, it probably means that I'm going too fast. That might sound a little silly, but it really does work, and I promise you that when that timer goes off after 30 minutes, you're going to feel much more fulfilled from that moment in time than if you were to have just rushed through it without being mindful. I hope that you can carry each of the ideas I talked about today with you into the holiday season and really enjoy it to the fullest. And I'd love to hear from you. What are some intentional things that you do to ensure you make it to January 1st with a smile on your face from the memories that were made? As always, thanks so much for watching today, and I hope that you'll stop back again really soon.